Chag Sameach, new Torah scroll in memory of murdered yeshiva students. Oriental restaurant becomes religious. Volunteers and soldiers collect for the needy. And a tiyul in Emek Yisrael. Chag Sameach, this is a kosher lePesach Israeli salad. Shalom and welcome to Israeli Salad. Many events here in Israel mix happiness and sadness, building and destruction, as we try to gain strength from the positive side of the occurrences. The tragic terror attack in which 8 students in the Arutz Sheva in Jerusalem were murdered was no doubt a horrific event that scarred the souls of many. But even an event like that can be the source of positive activities. Here's just one of them, the completion of a new Torah scroll.
It's been more than a month since the horrific terror attack which took the lives of 8 young students in the Arutz Sheva in Jerusalem. In their memory, a Torah scroll was completed and brought to the Torah ark of the yeshiva.
When you live a life of Torah, the first thing you want to do is add sanctity and purity to the world. And this is a process that helps us feel better, memorialize the murdered, and rebuild around the Torah.
Many renowned rabbis took part in the completing of the scroll, among them Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, the Rebbe of Tzanz, and the chief rabbis of Israel. Politicians participated as well. Likud leader Benjamin Netanyahu and Shas leader Eli Yishai wrote letters in the new Torah scroll.
Look what's happening here. This event is aimed at hugging. I spoke with one of the rabbis here about the importance of taking the grief and making something good come out of it. There is unity here, and lots of appreciation and honor. There are secular people here, national religious and ultra-Orthodox.
On its way to the yeshiva hall, the Torah scroll was carried throughout the neighborhood of Kiryat Moshe. Despite the tragic circumstances, the crowd danced and rejoiced as they honored the memory of the murdered students with the eternal message of the Torah.
To become observant after years of living a non-observant lifestyle is obviously not easy. To make your business observant after 20 years of being non-observant is also a serious decision. We met Rafi, who decided to begin serving kosher sushi and stir-fried vegetables 20 years after he founded his Oriental restaurant in Kfar Saba.
For around 20 years, the Sunshine Oriental restaurant in Kfar Saba was not kosher and was open on Shabbat. 2 months ago, the owner of the restaurant decided to change his life and the menu.
I founded this restaurant more than 20 years ago. It's a Chinese, Thai, Japanese restaurant. 2 months ago, I decided to make this place kosher. First of all, after 20 years, I'm tired of working on Shabbat. There's no blessing in money made on Shabbat. Secondly, there's a big target audience for a kosher restaurant.
A large crowd arrived at the restaurant a few days before Pesach to participate in the ceremony of the fixing of a mezuzah at the entrance to the kosher restaurant. Rabbi Yaakov Fergan came all the way from the southern town of Netivot to take part in the last stage of the transformation of the restaurant. Rabbi Fergan examined the kitchen, and when he saw that it was appropriately koshered, he went on to affix the mezuzah.
I'm very happy with my decision. My feelings have changed. My life has changed. I'm a much happier person, more content.
So how's business? Today, tells us Rafi, you have to order in advance if you want to have a seat in the restaurant.
It's Pesach now, a time when we all gather together to rejoice on this important festival. There are, unfortunately, many families in Israel who cannot hold a festive meal on Pesach, but this year, like every year, there are also those who make sure that they receive the needs to honor the festival and themselves.
Hundreds of kids, students of the Migdal Or educational institutions of Rabbi David Grossman, took part in a nationwide activity of collecting food for families who are suffering from economic problems and cannot celebrate Pesach appropriately. They are collecting especially for the Seder meal.
זוהי השנה השלישית שנעשה פעולה בהיקף עצום.
This is the third year that such a large-scale activity is taking place to make sure that no one is left hungry during this holiday.
עזרה לחג לעבור את החג שבע שלא יקבל.
We collected many goods for the needy. They have nothing for the holiday.
הייחודיות שבדבר זה ההתנדבות.
The uniqueness of this event is the cooperation. You can see here soldiers. We have our graduates here, immigrants from the former Soviet Union, Bnei Akiva kids, Hatzofim, all the nation of Israel.
יש כאן כל עם ישראל.
We are here at the IDF base in central Israel, where the food supplies have been gathered here from throughout the area. In a giant military hangar that is used regularly to store ammunition and weaponry, the IDF soldiers are preparing the packages for the families.
We enjoy the atmosphere. We are happy of any opportunity to help people and to strengthen the nation, especially in our days. Every action of the love of Israel brings us closer to redemption.
וביחד אנחנו נדאג שכל אחד מאיתנו
Together, we will make sure that when we recite the verse on Leil HaSeder, whoever wants is invited to eat with us. We will know that we fulfilled this, not only for our private family, but for whoever needs.
המשפחה שלנו, אלא דאגנו שכל מי שצריך שיהיה לו.
And now time to go on another tiyul, that's Hebrew for trip. We're now off to Emek Israel.
The early days of spring are full of earthy smells. The wheat is ripe, there is green everywhere, and the air is fragrant with milk and spices. We searched for a place where we could feel the combined effect of these spring sights and smells. We found it in the valley of Jezreel, Emek Israel, in the agricultural communities, in the fields, and in the paths that connect them. We are on our way to Kfar Kedem, located near the community of Hoshaya, beneath ancient Sipori, where Rabbi Yehuda Nasi lived. We return to the ancient lifestyle for a few hours. Menachem, the owner, dresses his guests in clothes of ancient times and brings the biblical texts alive. From the ancient past to somewhat nearer past, we traveled to the agricultural community or Moshav of Nahalal, which was founded in 1920. Many of the nation's founders, including Moshe Dayan, are buried in its cemetery. On the outskirts of the cemetery, we find the grave of first Israeli astronaut Ilan Ramon, who was buried here at his family's request. Inside the Moshav, deep underground, one finds the stories of Israel's pre-statehood days. The Avidov family of Nahalal contains 4 stories that are intertwined with the state's early history. They are told in the family's unique museum, which is located above the weapons cache and under the palm tree.
They were looking for a person they could trust in order to build a central and important arms cache for the Haganah. They knew my grandfather and decided that he was the right man. He convened a small family gathering, and they decided to say yes to the request.
The cache itself, which is the main attraction here, was one of 20 central Haganah caches. It operated between 1943 and 1947. It was disguised as a receptacle for cow urine. This is a journey to the not-so-distant past, which can teach us a lot about the present. And now we head for nature. At the Alonei Habar Nature Reserve, with a trail the whole family can enjoy, the Nature and Parks Authority prepared a walking path several kilometers long that is good for the whole family. Even the slowest walkers can enjoy this hike. Like this guy, for instance, he's not worried. After we park our car at the entrance, we enter the gate and start walking down the path. We find ourselves walking through the forest surrounded by color and scents of flower in bloom. A few minutes drive away is the old Templar community of the Galilean Beit Lechem. At the community's edge, a 100-year-old Templar building houses a 50-year-old dairy barn. Zvika teaches us a page in cow science, from the way the lambs are suckled to the robotics of farming. The atmosphere is rustic, and the visitors play an active part in the goings-on. The farm is mostly indoors and can be visited all year round. At the other end of the community, the Spice Road Farm, a visitor's center, is located right in the middle of the spice fields. A path lined with oak trees leads us there. A lecture hall overlooking the field contains over 700 spices, medical herbs, gourmet blends for cooking, tea infusions, seasonings, and fruits from Israel and abroad. And it's all free. So where do we spend the night? Kitron is Tzipori, the Gemara teaches us. The recreational village of Kitron is located right next to Kfar Kedem in a wonderful Galilean setting, on a hilltop overlooking the Tzipori National Park. The suites are built in wood and stone.
Kitron is a new and unique concept of accommodation. It brings us back to our historic roots, because it is located here, opposite Tzipori. The accommodation is very top-notch and exclusive, and is meant primarily for the religious public.
Everything here is exquisitely crafted. The hand-washing sinks, the lamps decorated with vine leaf designs, the synagogue, and even the outdoor lounges.
Okay, that's all for this edition of Israeli Salad, but before we leave, it's Pesach, and even though I showed you this video already once or twice, another time can't hurt. So, who let the Jews out?
Oh, hello, Pharaoh. Listen, the Jews have escaped, okay? So, yeah.
What? That's impossible! Who let the Jews out?
Who? Jews.
Who let the Jews out?
Jews.
Who let the Jews out?
Jews.
Who let the Jews out?
Jews.
Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out?
Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out? Who let the Jews out?
Yes, this greeting has been brought to you by Schlepping Through the Alps. Click below to get your copy of the book everyone will be reading this spring. It's being called Brilliantly Comic. Probably because I'm on the cover. Yeah. Have a happy Passover. Okay? Thank you. Yes. Are we done? There.
So who let the Jews out? We all know the answer to that. God let the Jews out. Shalom and Chag Sameach to everyone.